911, location of emergency.
Yes, ma'am. Someone just knocked on my door. He's here at my door right now, and he wanted me to call 911 because he said he just murdered someone.
Kevin Davis described the death of his mother, Kimberly Hill, is almost as horrific as what he did to her. He told detectives he strangled, hammered, and raped her, and he did it in a matter-of-fact way, at no time showing any emotion or remorse. Davis said just before the murder at the Windrush Apartments in March, he had wanted to kill himself because he was bored.
The beginning, man. What caused all this?
Well, the very beginning, I asked my mother for permission to die, or rather kind of commit the sort of beating around the bush sort of thing. Because, well, that doesn't really matter why I wanted to kill myself.
Sure it does.
I'm bored with life. I don't like life. I don't like people. I don't like living it, basically. There's really anything depressing about it. It just is what it is.
Davis also told police that he intended to kill his sister too, but changed his mind.
Oh, a fantasy of yours to kill her as well?
It
Did
was.
you write down that on your note?
Oh, I did, actually, but I decided against it because, well, I'd had my fill of killing. I didn't seem a little much. A little too excessive, yeah.
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and if you're new here, welcome. I am really excited to finally be recording this video for you. It has taken over 2 weeks of pure research to get all of the information for you guys, so I'm just happy to finally be here. Now, I'm also excited because today is the first video that we're going to start doing here. It's a new series where we tackle the darker side of true crime. So if you need a trigger warning for your true crime, this might be a little too much for you. And boy, do I got a case for you guys today. Now, before I get into the horrific details, if you guys can just hook your girl up by hitting that thumbs up, it does help the channel out and it's completely free. Now, if you want to just step it up a notch and show more support for the channel, it is greatly appreciated. You can go to my about section, check out any of the links there, or a cool thing that YouTube is now doing for all creators is that they have this little option on every single video that says thanks. You can click that and also show your support. But either way, whether it's just clicking the like button, sharing my content, or stepping it up a notch by showing donation support, I greatly appreciate every single one of you, and I wouldn't continue doing what I do if it wasn't for every one of you. So with that being said, let's get started with today's crazy ass case. Kimberly Diane Hill. She was born on March 28, 1963. And you know what makes this case even more sad is that she was murdered on March 27th, one day before her birthday, which she would have turned 51 years old. Now, she grew up in a small town in Oklahoma, and her parents were Clyde Hill and Shannon Maples. She had an older sister, Marilyn, and a younger brother, David, and by all means, she had a very good upbringing. She was definitely a country girl and was not scared to get dirty, and she was really close to her family. Now, from 1982 through 1992, Kimberly was a proud Marine corporal. Now, Kimberly would end up giving birth to her first child, which would be a beautiful little girl that she named Desiree. Now, in 1990, this is when Desiree was just a few months old, Kimberly actually got deployed to Saudi Arabia. Kimberly, she was there for about 4 months in Operation Desert Storm, and it was her job to make sure that the U.S. Marines serving with the 3rd Aircraft Wing had all the supplies they needed. Now, when Kimberly had to leave Desiree, again, she was just a few months old, it was hard for her to leave, her infant child, but she knew she was going to be in good hands because she left her with her parents. Now, when Kimberly's tour was up, she decided not to re-enlist, and she had planned to go back to school and study for a degree in criminal justice and, of course, to be a full-time mom to her daughter Desiree. Now, she would end up getting into a career where, once again, she could take care of people, and Kim ended up getting a job as a hospice caregiver. Now, Kim's friends and family would describe her as kind, selfless, and loving.
Her daughter Desiree had said that she was the best mom ever, and ironically her son Kevin, who we're going to get into in just a bit, he said during his interrogation that she was a really good mom. Now Kimberly, she enjoyed concerts and gardening and even skydiving. She for sure lived her life without fear and to the fullest. And when I was going through her Facebook page, because it's still up, her last post was posted only 2 days before her life would be brutally taken by her son. And as you can see, she had just went to a Cher concert and she talks about how amazing it was. Now let's get into Kevin. Now, Kimberly would give birth to her second child on December 27th, 1995, and she would name him Kevin Jezreel Davis. Now, as far as Kevin's dad, there's really no information. In fact, I couldn't find any information about him, but it seems like he split early on when Kevin was just a small child. And in fact, all Kevin said during his interrogation about his dad was he was an idiot. Now, people who have claimed to went to school with Kevin said he was just an average kid. There was nothing special about him. He didn't stand out, and at times he did seem a little odd, but people just didn't think twice about him. As far as his academics, the same thing. He did just average. His best subject was English. He didn't like sports or play any, and he didn't have many friends, and when he would commit this horrendous crime, Kevin stated that he had never had a girlfriend or even kissed a girl. Now, one thing Kevin did say during his interrogation, which I thought was interesting, was he hated people and that he had always known there was something different about him. Now, during this time, Kimberly and Kevin, they were living at the Windrush apartment complex in Corpus Christi, Texas. It was a 2-bedroom apartment, so Kimberly had her room and then Kevin had his. As far as Desiree, she had already moved out on her own, living in her own apartment, which was not too far from where Kimberly and Kevin lived. Now, the events that will take place in apartment 1707, it would leave Kimberly's family and the town of Corpus Christi, Texas, completely shook. And I will say the details that you are about to hear are so horrific, I need to give you guys a huge trigger warning before I even go any further. March 27th, 2014, Corpus Christi, Texas. 18-year-old Kevin and his mother were enjoying the evening at home when Kevin decides to walk up to his mother and ask her a question that will utterly leave her shook. Kevin asked her if he can have permission to take his own life. Now, Kevin stated he wanted to end his own life because simply he was bored with his life. Any parent would be completely upset if their child came to them with something like this, and Kimberly was. Now, she wasn't going to give him permission to do this, but allegedly she had told Kevin that he was a grown man, and if he was going to do it, she couldn't stop him. Now, Kevin told investigators that his mother was really upset with him and at a point where she was just sick of his stuff. So she was going to call his sister Desiree and have Kevin go live with her once again. Now, because of this, Kevin decided off of a whim that he no longer wanted to take his own life, but that he wanted to take the life of his mother, and not only his mother, but also his sister Desiree. So Kevin comes up with this plan to take his mom and his sister's life. He would walk into the room and rip a cord from his video game controller. He would then walk out to the living room where his mom was sitting on the sofa watching television, not knowing what was about to happen to her. Kevin then took that cord and then he tried to strangle his mother. Now, Kimberly started screaming and she was trying to fight back. She managed to grab the cord from around her neck. Because of this, Kevin ran to his mother's room, opened the bottom drawer, and pulled out a hammer. Kevin ran up to his mother, and this is when he started attacking her. He hit her over and over and over again. He estimated that he hit her over 20 times in the head with that hammer.
The medical examiner confirmed today that the victim's injuries were consistent with every part of Davis's story.
There was about 18 lacerations about the head. scattered about the surface of the head.
Now, Kimberly was trying to fight back and protect herself. She was raising her hands, trying to protect her head, but Kevin just kept on hitting her. He hit her so much that her brain was exposed. Kevin also stated that his mother even tried to play dead. Now, this is when Kevin then would go and grab a knife, and then he would start picking at her brain with the knife. Now, Kimberly was still alive during this time. Kevin stated that she kept making noises. So he attempted to drag her to the bedroom. Now, while I was doing my research, I forgot to mention, I did see that Kevin was not a big guy. He even stated that he had a really hard time getting his mom to the bedroom. He tried grabbing her by her shirt, tried dragging her by her legs, and eventually he got her to the room, which just left blood everywhere from the living room to the bedroom. Now, once Kevin gets her into the room, like I said, there was blood everywhere. He said there was blood all over him, all over his glasses. He stated that his mom was still alive because she was making snoring sounds. So he decides to go in and put his hand inside where her brains were. And he started mushing her brains around. He said he did this because he wanted to make sure that she died.
Dragged her into the room, as you probably clearly saw, and then I kind of warmed my hands into her brain to kind of just cut it. She was still snoring.
Okay. So she was still alive?
She was still alive.
And you went in there and you kind of grabbed those brains?
Yeah, I just finished it.
All right.
Now, if you think this can't get any worse, it's going to get a lot worse. And I know you guys are thinking, girl, how much worse can this get? Oh, it can get a lot worse. After Kevin bludgeoned his mother to death and mushed with her brains, he then proceeded to have sex with her corpse. And Kevin jokingly said that he lost his virginity to a corpse. Not only that, it was his mother's dead body that he lost his virginity to. I mean, why?
And then what did you do after that?
Then I had sex with her corpse.
You did? Did you?
I did, actually.
Have you ever done that before, like have sex with her?
No, I haven't, actually.
This was just the first time?
Oh, yeah, I lost my virginity to a corpse.
Now, after Kevin brutally takes his mom's life and abuses her corpse, he then proceeds to take a bath because, like I said earlier, there was just blood all over him. And he also stated he wanted to clean that area down there after he was done with his mom. I mean, you guys, it's just disgusting. He then writes 3 notes. Now, the first note he wrote, he left this one in the living room, and it was intended for his sister Desiree. On the note, he wrote, "Keep your head up. Hurry, she might still be alive, even though I highly doubt it." Now, Kevin stated that he has a sick sense of humor and he was only messing with his sister Desiree because he knew his mother was not going to be found alive. Now, the other note he left was in his mom's bedroom, and this one seems like it was left for police because he wrote, "Chase me." After Kevin takes his bath and writes these notes, he plans on just going on the run. He will leave his home in Corpus Christi, Texas, a little bit after 9. Now, Kevin doesn't know how to drive. I forgot to mention that. So he ended up leaving there on his bike. Now, halfway to his destination, he ends up ditching the bike in a wooded area. He said that he just became very overwhelmed with emotions, that he actually broke down crying, pretty much just telling himself, "What did I do?" He realized his life wasn't going anywhere anymore. So he basically just gave up that idea of going on the run. Now, if you're thinking that Kevin broke down and felt bad for what he did to his mother, think again, because he was asked if he would kill her again, and he said yes, he would. Now, after Kevin ditches his bike, he decides to walk the rest of the way to Robstown. Now, this is when he would go up to a house where a couple lived. He would knock on the door and the lady would answer. He tells her that he needs to use her phone to call 911 because he just murdered someone.
911, location of emergency.
Yes, ma'am. Someone just knocked on my door. He's here at my door right now, and he wanted me to call 911 because he said he just murdered someone.
Now, Kevin would proceed to tell the dispatcher that he just murdered his mother and where they can find her. Now, the dispatcher told Kevin not to move, and law enforcement then arrived and arrested him. Now, when first responders would arrive to the Windrush apartments and enter apartment number 1707, they were horrified. There was blood everywhere from the living room to the bedroom, and that's where they found Kimberly Diane Hill deceased. Now, there was a hammer near her body, and then in the living room, there was the bloody knife. Now, Kevin was taken into custody, and that interrogation is actually online. And I will tell you guys, that is probably one of the most disturbing interrogations I have ever seen. Not only does Kevin, of course, talk about some really horrific details, but he talks about it so calmly, like if he was just explaining what he did at work that day. Now, after Kevin went into all of these horrific details of what he did to his mother, he did tell investigators that he has been having these dark thoughts since his pre-teens. He said that he never sought any medical attention for it or even spoke to anyone about it. He also said he wasn't ashamed of these dark thoughts, and he kind of just accepted it as that's how he was. Kevin told the investigators that he was not mentally disturbed and that he actually knew right from wrong. He was asked if he would kill again, in which he responded with a yes. Kevin also told investigators about his fantasy kill. Take a listen to this.
I came here to pay for my crime, so I guess I should continue with the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Truthfully,
Yes, definitely.
I would kill again.
Mm-hmm.
How about us? You think you want to kill us?
Oh, no, rather, men aren't my thing, actually.
Women.
Yeah,
Okay.
Do you have a girlfriend?
I don't.
You
I've
don't?
never had a girlfriend.
No.
I'll tell you what, give me your fancy of killing a woman. What would your fancy killing would be? Your age killing, what would that be?
This is a little peculiar among him. Okay,
I'm not surprised at what I'm going to hear, but you tell me.
maybe dressing up in a nice suit, sneaking into her house, disabling her boyfriend. No, yeah, I'd bring a pretty dress with me to dress her up in. I was always into strangling, but after that last blunder, I guess maybe something big and sharp would be more along my thing.
Mm-hmm.
Then I could, I don't know, probably decapitate her, as I prefer my women dead.
Okay.
I would dress her up. I'd stitch her up. Kind of try to work the head back on, perhaps. And then I'd go to town, and it would be a night to remember.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'd kind of just burn everything and run for the hills.
All right, you guys, remember earlier how I said it's going to get worse, like really worse? And I was like, you guys are probably going to say, how much worse? Well, wait till you hear this one. And I just want to say, if you're eating anything right now, please put that down before I even go any further. Kevin was asked by one of the investigators if he had ever had sex before. And he said he's never had sex with a human being. And like I said earlier, he did lose his virginity to his mother's dead corpse. I just can't believe what I'm even saying to you guys right now. But then he proceeded to share this story with investigators. And let me just tell you, I want to give you a huge warning, trigger warning right now. Kevin stated that they had a gray cat that was named Claire. Well, I think you guys know where I'm going to go with this one. He said that he had strangled the cat, drowned it, then he cut the cat open and had sex with the cat after it was dead.
You mentioned that you lost your virginity to a corpse.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about that? What happened?
Oh, well, just last night, my mother, yeah.
Okay, not somebody else. You're talking about your mom.
Yes.
Okay, so before that, you had never had sex?
Well, I guess since I'm being quiet about it, I might as well tell you now. And it's on the note too, the PS part. We used to have a gray cat named Claire. Oh yeah, bestiality is a thing of mine too. Now you know. And so I strangled it, I drowned it, and then I cut it open, and you know the rest. You kind of get the rest.
You had sex with a cat, a dead cat.
Yeah, ripped it open, stuck it in there. Yeah.
You ever had sex with a live person?
No. No.
Now, even though Kevin confessed to the murder of his mother, he pled not guilty, but it was later changed to guilty. Now, during the trial, his lawyers requested a lighter sentence, pointing out that he possibly had mental health issues, but the prosecution insisted there was no medical evidence to back that up. Psychiatrist Dr. Joao Kunik, he interviewed Kevin. Now, he'd said that Kevin described the murder to him. He used a hammer to kill his mother, and of course the skull split open. He wanted to make certain that she was dead. He stuck his hand in the skull and mixed up the brains. Then I think he told me he got a knife and mixed them up. Then he also said that it felt like putty, the consistency of the brain tissue. And then he said something about he tasted the brain. Kevin would be diagnosed with antisocial personality disorder, but the doctor stated Kevin knew right from wrong when he killed his mother. It was reported that during the trial, Kevin never showed any remorse for what he did to his mother. In fact, he smiled a lot, popped his knuckles, and stretched throughout the trial. He even waved at witnesses when they were asked to identify him.
Now, remember in the beginning how I told you guys about when Kevin went to a house where a couple lived and he used their phone, told them that, he had murdered someone? Well, that couple actually was there in the courtroom during the trial. And believe it or not, Kevin turned around, smiled at them, and waved to them. I mean, I don't know what is going on in that brain of his.
Now, if you think that is bad, during the sentencing, the jury heard about how Kevin sexually abused his mother, and he actually turned to the jurors and he smiled at them. Now, Kimberly's father, so Kevin's grandfather, he actually spoke in the courtroom. He said, "You broke an unwritten law. You killed your mother. You just don't do that. We won't ever see you again." Now, 18-year-old Kevin Jezreel Davis, he was sentenced on October of 2014. Now, during the trial, prosecutors played his taped confession. It took jurors just an hour to reach their verdict, and Kevin was sentenced to the maximum of life. Now, Kevin is serving his time at the Chester facility in Richmond, Texas. And the scary thing, you guys, is that he is eligible for parole in March of 2044. Keep in mind this crime happened in 2014 when he was only 18. So in 2044, he's going to be in his 40s. That is scary. And that's going to wrap up this video for you. I told you guys I had a dark one, and I gave you guys plenty of warning. Now, if you know any other case that is as disturbing or a case that you would like me to discuss, make sure you get in the comment section and let me know, because we are tackling the darker side of true crime. Now, with that being said, if you can just hit that like button on the way out, don't forget to comment, and I will talk to you guys all on the next one. Bye, guys.